Okay, we'll call the meeting of the SVSU Board for August order. First item on the agenda, public comments, and a member of the State Board of Education would like to make some comments.
Good evening. I will only, since you are warning the policy on public participation, I will be brief. I don't know if you've seen in the news this past week, both the Secretary of Education and the State Board has taken a stance on the standardized testing and a little bit of, I guess what you might want to say, pushback on some of the federal mandates. And because the letter from the Secretary to parents and caregivers was 4 pages long, I'm not sure the board has seen it in its entirety, so I have one for each board member and a few extra. And the resolution that has, from the State Board, which has gotten some national media attention, both in Ed Week, the Boston Globe, a number of other areas. There was a really nice editorial in the Rutland Herald today as well. I thought you might want to see the full content of the resolution. So there's 2 sets. Really, that's all I'm here for, and to wish you a great new school year. And carry on. So.
Thank you. Okay, any other? Yes.
I just wanted to take a minute and introduce Carol Egan to the board. Carol is the Associate Director for Early Childhood, and she was hired in July, and this is her first board meeting, so I just wanted you to have a chance to meet her.
Welcome.
Hello.
Welcome. Any other? Yes.
Hi, my name is Lori Mulhern. I'm a Bennington resident, and I just wanted to address the board again about the public participation policy. I still have issues with it, but I know that the policy meeting is on Monday, and I'd be happy to address them as well at that meeting and not take up the board's time. Would that be appropriate?
It would come from there anyway, yes.
I go to those meetings, so I'm just letting you know that I still have some concerns about it, and I can still address it at the policy meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else? Public comments? Seeing none, no presentations. Treasurer's report. June to be posted July.
I make a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
Second.
Second.
Third.
Any discussions? None? All in favor?
Both of them, correct?
Right, June and July. Okay, award oil bids.
Yeah, hopefully you saw in your packet, the summary sheet for the oil. We received 2 bids, a number of companies are interested. As most of you know that have been through this before, we bid as a multi-district consortium, and depending on the size of the tank and the availability of the delivery truck that can fit into a location, we have different bidders bid on different buildings. Each one of you that purchase oil will see your individual building at your individual board meeting. This is strictly for the central office and now Division Street. And the low bidder was West Oil. They've been a supplier of ours for many years in the past, and we request a motion to award that contract.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Okay, any discussion?
One question.
Yes.
Is this the Massachusetts?
Yes.
I think we should try to, it's not too out of line on what we said, but then, so,
Any other? Seeing none, all in favor? Okay, unanimous. Propane bid.
Similar process with propane. What you may not know is for the first time we are now a user of propane at the central office. And it's a small amount to run the emergency generator, which runs all of our data and backup systems at the office. So not a lot of gallons. I think we're only looking at 200 or 300 gallons. We had 4 bidders on that, low bid, Suburban Propane, and requesting the awarding of that bid.
So moved.
Okay, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of Suburban Propane to the gas central office? Unanimous. Vermont SU Solar Power Consortium.
Yeah, most of you may have seen or heard around, the state has created, as well as federal government, a number of incentives and tax credits for solar power production. We in the state, specifically school systems, largely the result of the amount of power we use, have been inundated by a number of contractors that want us to sign a quite lengthy contract to enter into a net metering purchase agreement. Through that process, and we've sat through, myself, Jim Marsden, Jerry Prue, have sat through a few meetings. None of them have been very comfortable from my perspective. And the best we've been offered so far is a 12% reduction in our electric bill, which only came after I told them 10% was pathetic, because we could probably get 10% by shutting off some lights and computers and stuff. But through the Vermont Superintendents Association, through Norm Etkin, their energy guru guy up there, he's done some research and is putting together, or is facilitating putting together, a number of SUs to enter into a consortium by which we can generate enough size to make it advisable or advantageous to an investor to get a sizable project. And all you have to do, these things could be built up in the Northeast Kingdom. As long as they're in the Green Mountain Power grid, we can get the net metering effect on them. And the current estimate is that reduction is somewhere between 20 and 25%. So now it's starting to sound like real money to me. What I'm asking for tonight is just a preliminary approval to enter into a consortium with other SUs. There's currently 14 that are in the conversation. It's probably going to fall down to 6 or 7 of us. We need at least 2 of us, and Wyndham Southeast, Brattleboro, has already agreed to be in and has agreed to take on the fiscal monitoring, which I was thrilled, or the fiscal agent, which I was thrilled to hear. And if we can get 2 of us, we can access some red money as a consolidated contract to hire a consultant to do most of the work for us. So it won't cost us anything at this point. So I'd be happy to try to answer any more questions you may have. It's still fairly preliminary, but I am looking for a preliminary approval just to enter into the consortium and apply for the grant money.
I'll make a motion, we do that.
I'll second it.
Second, right?
I have a,
Now discussion.
as far as the solar, what does that mean? We're gonna use solar panels at the schools, or?
No, what we'll do is we will use the grant money to hire a consultant to draft a contract and put out an RFP to developers of solar power. And they will find land somewhere off our property. One of the nice things about this, it's not on our roofs, it's not on our property, it's off site. Like I said, it could be in the Northeast Kingdom. They'll put up these big black panels you see all over the state of Vermont. And they will credit us back on our electric bill some amount of money. But all this first step is just to apply for the grant to hire a consultant to write the RFP. There'll be many more decisions that you will make along the way before you spend $1.
Rick, is there a timetable on on this whole project?
The credits, unless extended, are 2016, I believe, so there's a lot of people are hot to bother to get this thing going because, although that may sound like a long way away, to build a project of this size, there's not much time.
Dave?
I heard you speak about this a little bit at Shasbury, I think. Do I understand that the districts, the consortium, wouldn't own any of the equipment?
Correct.
We would be just benefiting from the government program that's been set up.
Right, because for whatever infinite wisdom was used, municipalities can't access those grant monies or, well, obviously we don't need a tax break, but, so it makes no sense for us to build the facility because it gives us no advantage to it other than create power that may save us some money. Whereby a private investor will put in money, get tax credits back, give us the break on the power.
Jim?
I'm 99% against this. First of all, the solar panels are gonna probably be built in China, so they'll be built in the United States. This is a three-part Monty as far as, or shell game, whatever I call it. If we want solar energy for electricity, and it made sense to buy it, I'd go down in the heartbeat to do it. And if we were going to be able to sell it at market prices and make a profit, I'd vote for it in a second. But it has, the whole thing is being, if you think about it, we're gonna build it someplace else, somebody else is gonna own it. Some other, the rest of the taxpayers, including ourselves, probably are gonna be paying for it somehow. And then they're gonna give us money back, okay? Now, I want, on the extreme ends of it, okay, carbon-based electricity costs about $3 a kilowatt hour. Right? Whereas they're paying us for solar, the way it comes out to is about 35, 36 cents. So it's all government mandates and its policies. And you mentioned one day it evaporates on 26, grants evaporate on 26. It's not a natural thing to do because it doesn't save money, okay? And all the money that's being spent ends up in the country, which I'm not too thrilled about. It's just, it's too complicated, and if I thought, and I looked into it myself for my own property 10 years ago, solar raising, and the cost was ridiculous, okay, until you come along with the government giving us money for it. But the way the rebates work, if you're generating electricity from solar, the state of Vermont allows you to get paid 10 times what it's worth. So I will absolutely vote against it. I didn't articulate that very well, but there's nothing I like about it.
I think I got that.
It makes no natural sense. If you just, things that make natural sense, we all do.
Anything they have to put an incentive out for doesn't make natural sense.
Exactly. Okay, and it's going to evaporate by a certain date. And as far as generating electricity, I mean, on average, there's 12 hours a day in Vermont. How much that is usable for electricity, I don't know, but it's only accessible half the time. So it looks good for now. I brought up at the meeting last year. I'm going to change the subject real quick, and I don't have that strong opinion about it. But there's gas lines going around. There's 100 gas line up to 7, and everybody and his brother knows that at this point in time, the United States of America is the gas giant of the world, and it's cheap. Thank you.
Thank you.
Other comments? Yes.
If it were to take place, Rick, would each school benefit proportionally? Have you covered that yet?
I mean, it's very, very preliminary. I mean, that's my understanding is, you're gonna save 20% on your tax bill. Your electric bill, whatever your electric bill is. I mean, this is just a very preliminary first step just to get a grant to write an RFP to see if it even makes sense to participate in this thing. I've had very similar concerns as,
I agree with you. Who was that guy in California 20 years ago that went to jail? He was trading electricity in California. They had some silly law, and he went to jail and died.
I don't know.
that company.
Who?
This sounds like, this thing.
Oh, Solyndra?
Yeah.
Oh, Enron.
It was just
That was Texas.
creating electricity, it was a crazy scheme. This is, I don't know what to say.
Okay, Dave?
So I disagree with Jim, although I think you did articulate your position pretty eloquently. I guess I disagree that anything that, your statement that anything that requires an incentive, it doesn't make sense, because the idea that carbon-based fuels only cost 3 cents is largely because there are external costs that we all have to pay that aren't charged to the customer. So the cost of added carbon to the atmosphere. So I mean, I think there's a legitimate policy reason for offering an incentive to clean energy. Now, whether the particular program that we're looking at makes sense, whether it's somewhat of a shell game, and may indeed be true. I think the thing that we really need to remind is we're saving 20% to our local taxpayers. And if we want to leave that money on the table because we disagree in principle with the program, we just need to be prepared to say that. And I don't know how much we spend on electricity, but 20% of it is probably a decent number.
Yeah, we're spending
I think some of
a,
the.
SU-wide, a significant amount of money. I don't know off the top of my head, but on Anthony is probably somewhere to the tune of,
Okay, Fran?
$60,000-$70,000.
There's a company in North Bennington putting a bunch of solar panels next to 67.
Yeah.
Is that part of that or no?
No, that's a private,
Private, okay.
it's a fund,
Okay.
it's private stuff.
Okay.
George?
But that would be something like what you would see
Okay.
somewhere. I don't know if you'd see
But
it.
not local.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, they may cut a deal with the town and put it on the landfill. There's a huge tax break to utilize brownfields and closed landfills to put them on top of the landfills. But
My position is merely when we approve this, we're merely approving to hire a consultant to look into it. We're not committing anything. So that's, I think that Jim's point, Dave's point, we can discuss at a further point when we get down the road a little bit further. But I think that we really should at least get involved with someone down here to look at it, give us more information, and then make a decision whether it's viable or not viable.
Yep.
I think we owe that to the taxpayers.
Any other comments?
I'd be open to exploring all sources of energy options, including natural gas. You know, I don't think it's that, but I could be convinced of anything in fact.
yeah, I don't have any facts.
I think,
It's just that we're gonna build something in North Kingdom.
We're not building anything. We're just applying for a grant right now.
okay,
I call the question.
all right. All those in favor of applying for the grant for the solar project? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay,
Applying for it.
yeah, just applying. Against? Okay, 1 against.
Thank you.
Thank you. But these solar projects are going to be very popular. When you leave Route 7, the new one going up from where Kmart and stuff and going north, that's where I live up there, they just got an approval for 27 acres of these panels are gonna be going up there. The whole right side as you go up, there's gonna be panels, there'll be no more, they're gonna clear cut.
Well, they are becoming an eyesore on the landscape.
Yeah, but they're gonna leave 20 feet of, from the highway up, and then after that, it's gonna be panels all the way up. Something that's coming. Okay, new business. Any new business? Okay, seeing none. Personnel, Jim's gonna cover this.
You've heard this at your individual board meetings, last contract negotiations with the para-educators. There was an oversight in the final reading regarding how many hours overtime kicks in. We had put it at 35 as our proposal. It never passed, but it got printed that way. So this has to revert back. So you need motion to allow your chair, as it does happen in all your individual board meetings, to sign the new signature sheet showing that amendment change.
So moved.
Second.
Good discussion. All in favor? Okay, unanimous. Thank you. Okay, next item on the consent agenda.
I make a motion.
Okay, a motion accept?
Second.
Second. Okay, discussion.
I'd like to have the consent agenda, number 6, nomination, full for discussion.
Full. Okay,
Full from the scope for executive discussion.
for discussion.
All of them?
No, not, I'd like to have a full to discuss something relative to nomination, not individual nomination.
Oh, okay.
Yep,
Full. I should talk now?
yes, go ahead.
I actually wrote a letter. This, I've talked about this privately, and to Joy a little bit over time,
We have enough of these, or we
Yeah,
should.
no, I have. but,
I got one.
the nomination forms have been a little bit of a pet peeve with me over the years. One more? No, I'm good. There's about 20 nominations tonight. If you look, I won't read what I wrote, I'll just say it. But if you look through them, there's so much an hour, and there's FTE, full-time equivalent of this and that. So as a board of directors, it's our job to protect the public interest, and to make informed financial decisions. Now, tonight we have all these, I'm not saying anything about the employees, and I'm sure they're all, we need them all, et cetera, et cetera. But as a board, we can't look at all these nominations and in good conscience make a decision as to whether we should spend this money or not. As it turns out, if you add up these salaries, it's about $700,000 in salaries, right? Then there's all these footnotes with stipends and equal time and part-time, full-time, all that kind of stuff. So when I'm asking, I don't have a copy myself, but I'm asking that this board ask the superintendent, his people, on these nominations to come up with two numbers in every form. The exact, or close to exact, compensation for actual hour work. Because we have people working 1,000 hours, 1,500 hours, 2,000, where 2,000 hours would be considered a full-time job. And my examples here, this is going to actually help you. The superintendent makes about $67 an hour. The custodian makes $13 or $14 per hour. And then the average teacher in Vermont makes $50,000 an hour, and that's $50,000 a year. So that's like $32 an hour. So it gives, as we get these nominations, we're able to compare from position to position how we evaluate. All right? That's the first part. And the second part, which would take some input, I guess, from Rick and his people, is the annual budget impact. We have the salary, we have health care, we have FICA, we have workman's compensation. I have a list here. When we go through the budget process, there's about 10 different costs that get added on to the salary. All right? So what I'd like to see on the nomination forms as a board, like tonight we can look, if those numbers are there, it'll be easy to see that the budgetary impact of our decision tonight is about $1 million. If you add up all the salaries and throw in certainly, a little bit of benefits, it's really easy to go over $1 million. So when we vote, we're voting on $1 million. We all know we're spending $1 million. Or if you make changes, we could save $1 million. I was recently told that in the budget around the state, the actual number of students affected by budgets being voted down was 65%. So about 6 out of every 10 students had their budget voted down this past year. And I would think it would help us board, help us do our job better if we just looked at, we didn't have to look at all the footnotes and this and that and try to figure out how many hours. So we would get an hourly rate based on 2,000, 1,000, whatever we think, an honest guess of what this person's gonna work. And the second thing would be a loaded cost. So we know if we're gonna hire a para, all right, we have a number to keep in mind that's gonna cost 10, 15, 30,000, whatever it does cost. So I would like to make, does anybody else have more thoughts on that?
I think, could I address this? Since I'm seeing this for the first time,
Yeah.
I would respectfully ask that you move the consent agenda for tonight, but allow us to study this proposal and come back with some thoughts on how we think this, your proposal
I
would
agree.
work. what it
I'm not
would look
saying
like. Yeah.
not to vote on this tonight.
So
I'm
that
just saying it'll be,
Joy, Rick, and I could meet together and give some type of joint response on how we feel this would look out.
the motion I'm going to ask for is that we ask you to do that.
Oh.
Okay. To try to come up, in a reasonable period of time, to try to come up with, this is just my, maybe I have a different idea, but we're voting on $1 million. And I don't think, until I get all the work out, I have no idea how much it was.
Now, I might come back and tell you that it's unworkable, but I mean, I want time to be able to look at it, and understand your proposal, and maybe leave you for some follow-up questions about what exactly you're looking for.
And I would look for, not to the third decimal point, I mean, just about, because you don't know if it's a family health insurance or sick.
But
So, yeah,
I just want to say, what are we going to do with all this? I mean, I understand it, I see it, but we got a process in place that we got a contract that with steps and all this other stuff in it. And when we hire people, we got to bring them into there and we got to look at their credentials and so forth. And so even if I knew that this is about $1 million, we have to still staff the district with the people what we need to run the district, and can't be at this particular meeting here and saying we're not going to staff what we need to staff to run the departments, I mean the school like it's supposed to, the school, or be ran at this table with that information.
You
So
want to know how much we're spending?
I know how much we're spending. We're looking at the monies in the particular groups. I think I mean a grant. I'm looking at this, and yes, it'd be nice if we put it on an individual form, but I'm saying, what am I going to do with it? We're going to have that. I'm just asking, what are we going to do with it? And this is your idea, and everybody has to be convinced to go along with it. And I'm trying to find out whether I want to waste somebody's time trying to make sure that I break it all out and take what if they decide to take the insurance plan, the Cadillac one, and this one over here, who's going to be going back and doing it? We're probably going to have to hire some more people to follow and do that, as opposed to having it like we are now. So if we're saying we want to have somebody think about this proposal, I'll think about it, and everybody agree to have it done because it takes a board action to do that, then I'll go along with it. But right now, I don't see that we need to be wasting the current administration's time in this format when we got a lot more things that we need to be addressing in this district.
Rick?
Yeah, just to put some facts on the table. The boards go through in detail their staffing pattern and its cost at budget time. So, hopefully, everyone is following that at that time, and you know that you need 10 teachers, and we're budgeting at this and this health plan and that. We go through that detail quite often at those budget meetings. When you get these non-forms, whether it's at the SU or at your local level, if you look down at the bottom, I don't happen to have one in front of me, there's 3 initials down there from people that have put in input and or verified data that's on that sheet. And mine happens to be the last one that shows up there. And I won't sign that unless it's within budget. So if we have hired somebody that is outside of budget, And sometimes I'm not a popular person in the office, but I force that conversation to go back to the board level to say, this is a budgetary impact. The fact that you're seeing these with my signature on them tells you factually they are within budget. They are within the budget that you set during your budget time and that the voters had approved. There's no new positions here, with the exception of maybe one pair that's moving from a regular to an intensive need. Is that correct? Isn't there one?
You're talking about within the NECC program, but
As a board-
That's technically a change.
What I'm saying, as a board, we don't need to know that. Okay, as a board, we just need to know the bottom line. I'm serious. I don't need to know if it's a.
That's fine, I mean, if that's what the board wants, we'll give the board,
All I'm asking
but
for.
we just need to make sure we understand what you're asking
We're
for.
detail on her now, and this job, so we all get used to how much these jobs, as we okay and I'm okay. And I'm asking for an estimate, not like I say, not the decimal, but, because health insurance can go up.
Jim, so if we hired someone at 40,000, you'd want, like it is now at the bottom of the sheet, but then you'd also like, if it's 20,000 for health insurance, include that, 2,800 for social security, our share and stuff like that, then come up with a larger number that
No,
reflects.
this, is just roll in, we have another number. where
He wants a total compensation.
Total compensation estimate.
But that's, when you do the budget, you have our social security, you have the health insurance, not individually, but as a
We don't do
lump
the
sum.
health insurance individually anyway, we just use a composite number on it.
Yeah, usually the number. Well, I'm saying, we looked at tonight, there's 20, and I had, but there's like 5 different ways of saying the salary. There's stipend, we gotta know what stipend is. There's per hour, okay, without the number of hours. The per hour without the number of hours.
And those are all per contract of the
Right.
CBAs.
So, but as a board of directors, okay, I mean, it's kind of a joke that we don't really know how many employees we have. We should know how many employees we have, and we should know how much money goes through here on an annual basis. That's all. So I'm just gonna ask.
Okay, so they're gonna take it under advisement and come back.
Yeah.
Laura, you have a question or comment?
I did. I'll move back up here. I'm sorry, I wanted to wait for this agenda item to come up before I make comment. And that is on, I have been watching the transition of staff over the last 2 years. And I think it would be really prudent of the board to kind of take a look at staff movement, because I have seen an enormous amount of resignations. And I don't know whether that is normal for an educational system or if that is excessive. And I think that's really important for the board to look at, and it kind of falls in line with, I'll be honest, I think anyone looking at money is a good thing as a taxpayer. I think that, any means of being more cost-effective is really prudent, but I also feel that when you're looking at our educational system, it's important to look at staff movement. It's important to see, are we retaining staff, or do we see constant resignation, constant turnover? And maybe there's another issue we need to identify there. And I just think if you look at the number of resignations that have happened this year, and I really don't know how many that is, I haven't added them up myself, but I could. If that would be helpful for the board. But I really think it's important for you to take a look at those numbers, because I think it's really worth looking at. Thank you.
I did ask one of the principals about it, but I guess, you get a few young people are very mobile, they can leave, someone's getting married, they're going over here. There's a lot of variations there, better opportunities someplace else, they want better climates and stuff like that.
better opportunities someplace else, so that's why I'm concerned. And, I know that there was talk of a salary survey, so that.
Joy, do you do an exit interview with people who leave the district at all?
we do.
You do?
We actually offer that exit interview to everybody and follow up with them to try and do that if they're willing to participate.
So you could find if there was a negative pattern or something that was happening, that you would be aware of it.
Absolutely, we find that.
Yeah.
Dave?
Just two thoughts on that comment. I think it's the case that if an individual moves within the district from one job to another, they are listed as a resignation and then nominated for another position. So the total number of resignations probably exceeds the actual people leaving.
I am familiar with that kind of lateral movement. I'm not talking about that in particular.
Well, but I'm sure that you would see that if you were just counting resignations.
Absolutely.
So you'd have to net that out. But the other thing is, I think it's perfectly true the attrition rate for teachers nationally is enormous. So it's whatever number is here, and maybe, we may think it looks high, but that's just the way it's a low-paying, oftentimes, not satisfying job for people, and people burn out.
I read where it could be up to 40% within the first 5 years. You lose teachers that,
Could we get that as a budget? What I'm trying to do, and we gotta, if I break in here, we have board participation and we have an agenda items and so forth. And so I just saw us go 180 degrees in a direction that we didn't have on our agenda and so forth along that line. And I wanted to make sure we use our time the way it's supposed to be, and then assign tasks that need to be assigned to administrations or to the board as a board group along that line.
Yeah, I just want to say, as a board, we often get off track and meddle with stuff we shouldn't be meddling with. We hire some very competent people. We ask them to make decisions for us, and we have a number of us that are part of watchdog groups that help develop budgets and work on human resources and background checks and policies. And I would hate to give our administration another task where they're treading water instead of working on important stuff. We should be focusing on policy and mission and vision.
so we can put the, you want us to pull that number 6, we can put it back in now on the consent agenda? Okay.
It was never pulled.
Okay, but I want to give everybody a chance if they have anything on the warrants or anything first, or minutes. Any questions on the minutes or warrants? Okay, seeing none, all in favor of the consent agenda? Okay, unanimous. Thank you. Yes,
Was that with or without six?
with 6, he put it back in, yes. Okay, we have 3 policies, 2 to warn and 1 to adopt. First one, do you want to handle these, Leon, because you've been working with them?
I think you have a comment. Dick and I both have been handling these
Okay.
here, so you had a comment you raised.
Well, at any rate, 4020, according to the minutes, we already warned last meeting, so that doesn't need to be part of our agenda tonight.
It doesn't have to?
No.
We already warned it unanimously last time.
Okay, then 7300, public participation at board meetings.
I'll make a motion.
And I'll second.
Second. Again, this is a warning, so when they have the meeting, you can go and give all your participation and input. This isn't a final adoption.
So is there any board members, it's up, right now is the time to talk about it if you got concerns about board participation for that. And hopefully everybody read that particular policy. I read it again before coming here and so forth along that line. So, to make sure we understand what's in there.
But the public is also invited to come to your meeting when you have
That's
it.
exactly right.
Yes.
And they do. But this policy really is needed because it establishes a structure for conduct at meetings.
Right.
It also sets guidelines for board members, which have been fairly loose in some cases in the past. And it vests the authority in the chair to be able to operate in a meeting, things getting out of control. And none of those things were part of, needed to be addressed anyway.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion and second to public participation warning. All in favor? Okay, unanimous. So when's that meeting going to be held?
It'll be held
September?
8
8 September.
4:30.
Okay, at central office.
And Dick will be chairing that with Lisa Pulaski.
And C, this one's to adopt the conflict of interest in hiring. Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Motion.
Second it?
Second, okay. Any discussion on this one? Seeing none, all in favor? Okay, unanimous. Thank you. Okay, superintendent's report, Jim.
I won't hand out to you the second copy of the commissioner's letters, since you already got one in the beginning of the meeting, so I could have saved a few trees with that one. But just so you know what is going on with our AYP reporting, we've received our results on meeting with principals Tuesday morning. They've already all given their letters out from the principals from their individual buildings on where they failed to make AYP. As you know from this, every school in Vermont has failed, with just one student reporting in one category. The entire school fails in 2014. What we are going to do, President, will begin talking to you. And you're going to, at your individual board meetings in the next month, you'll get all the results and going online. And I have to complete that no later than September 16th, send an assurance back to the state that all that has happened. So that will be coming. I'm not going to repeat what I've been doing. That's the presentation I've been giving you at all your individual board meetings. You know what I've been busy with since I started in July, working through my entry plan, and as you can see from the size of the consent agenda, quite a lot of personnel changes. Total personnel changes for all schools is 60 plus. And I make notes at meetings, and I will look and see if that is above state or national averages. But it is true to mention here that the dropout rate in the first 5 years of educators is extremely high. And it's even higher among educators who are second career educators. They drop out at a rate of closer to 75%. So it is a difficult job, but it's interesting to look at those statistics. It can be helpful to see what could be done, what needs to be adjusted. So that's well noted. We had our SVSU opening day yesterday at the high school. The theme that we rolled out is a climate of possibility. I want to try and get away from the overemphasis on what we're doing wrong, where we're failing, what grades we're not making, and stress for this year the good that is happening in our schools. And after our morning presentation, mid-morning, then we had a number of presentations from student groups within the schools, not all schools, unfortunately, but so that our staff, and there was over 615 people there yesterday, saw what good is going on in our schools. We don't often get to see that. I don't necessarily know what's going on in every school, or certainly the teaching staff. You're so absorbed into your own building, you don't see it. So I think it went well. A few snags, but it was a good opening. And as you know, tomorrow is opening day. I'll be making the rounds to as many schools as I can, and tomorrow evening is many welcome back barbecues. And they're all at the same time, though. That's really all I have for you right now, other than there are a number of items in executive session that I do need to address with you beyond what is just listed in there. We have some other items that we got to bring up, and when we go to voting there, I'll talk about what that is.
What is the process to withdraw from Nickleby?
To withdraw from one?
No Child Left Behind. I mean, it's designed to fail, and it has. I guess what I'm asking is this a matter of money, and so the state has to do this because they get $3 million from the federal government if they subscribe to it, and if they don't, I mean, it's based on your state's standards. Vermont has high state standards, Mississippi has none. Mississippi is not getting penalized. Vermont is, and everybody thinks this is a national standard and the standard is all the same.
No, it's not.
It's not. So I guess my question is there a process that we can find anything out about to withdraw, to put conditions, to challenge, to what?
I believe with the commissioner's letter and then the position that the Board of Education came, that is going to be the debate that's in the forefront this fall. Because One problem with the AYP results that have been released, the test that was used to generate those results is no longer going to be used. We're going to be using the SBAC test, which maybe half the country is using, and the other is using something called the PARCS model. And it's really two competing giant test companies. Most of them, Pearson Publishing, the largest publishing company in the world, is responsible for the PARCS test. I'm not sure who does the SBAC test. And so there still won't be a national standard. If half the states are taking one exam and the other half are taking another, there really won't be national comparison. And as I said in my opening remarks yesterday, there's too much emphasis on this test, and we're not, it's in a narrow focus of what we look at, whether children, and it's not really about whether they're learning, it's about whether they're testing, and there's a difference. So I don't have an exact answer for you on, is there a process? Do I know that people in the state are looking at? Do I know that the public outcry, including the neighboring states, against this No Child Left Behind is there? Where it's all going to end up? The state is telling us that information is coming, but we don't even have what the test that'll be this spring. We haven't seen that. It's been piloted, but we don't have the test, and my understanding is the vendor has not even been selected for who's going to generate this test. It's very much up in the air, but the sentiment is there.
Yes, Dave.
I don't know whether you had a chance to read the, I guess you probably did, most of us didn't get a chance to read the letter from the Secretary. The state board's recommendation, which Sean Reed had passed out earlier as well, was released a couple days ago. I think some of us may have had a chance to look at it. I'm wondering whether we as a board, not tonight, but maybe at the next meeting, might want to consider looking at the first resolution, the state board's statement and resolution on assessment of accountability. There's three resolutions. And one is to request the Secretary of Education to re-examine public school accountability systems of the state, et cetera. And maybe we as a board take a look at that and come back next month and adopt a resolution in support of it.
Reaffirm that.
Yeah. It's not, I don't think it's very controversial. It may be a little bit too vague.
We could put that on the September agenda for discussion and action. We don't have time to read it since we've got time. So, and we'll put it on the agenda. Well, that would be the chair's call. But
Right.
yeah.
Well, one thing I'd like to urge everybody too is that, and this was under my report, the VSBA, Vermont School Board Association's on 15th of September, Monday evening, up at the Manchester Elementary School. Rebecca Holcomb will be there in person. She's promised to go to 6 regional meetings, and it'll be an open dialogue discussion, and all these questions that you want, can we get out of No Child Left Behind, ramifications and things like this, dollar amounts the state would lose. I think it'd be worthwhile for those of you that are really interested to come to that meeting. You can go online, www.vtvsba.org, register, and then they'll give you a light meal at the beginning at 5 o'clock it starts. And then she'll be there for about an hour and a half that you can give and take and talk to her about any issue. And again, since you're taking such a strong stand on No Child Left Behind, maybe this will be a good place to get your questions answered. Okay, so, and again, it's always nice to get it right from the person who's making those decisions. Also, October 30th and 31, the annual meeting of the School Board Association will be held at Lake Maury. And again, if you're interested in that, you can go, I think, Mary Lee in the central office, you can speak with her and she'll get you registered for that meeting as well. And again, it's really a great learning situation when you get together with a couple hundred of your fellow school board members throughout the state and see what their issues are, and some are like yours, some are completely different, large districts, small districts, and you get to learn a lot by going to some of these conferences. So. again,
I
but
did forget to mention one thing. You have to look at both the November and December meeting dates, because your November meeting is the night before Thanksgiving, and your December meeting is the night before Christmas. So I don't know if you want to adjust that far in advance, or you want to make a recommendation on, you're scheduled to meet November 25th, December 26th.
Twenty-fourth is before Christmas.
what usually happens in December is we have extra meetings because we're working on the budget. And we have some adoption meetings and questions, so we usually have multiple meetings in December, so I'm sure you and I can meet and come up with, in the September meeting, with a couple dates for the group, okay? We'll do that.
And your November one also, because you're scheduled for the 26th of November, with Thanksgiving being the next day, so.
Yeah, we'll do something
So, all
about that.
right, we'll make that, just want to make you aware of that.
Family time. Okay. Others?
Under other, I'd like to suggest that, Ken, that you go ahead and resurrect the personnel committee. We've got an awful lot of business to do. We haven't met for a number of months. So I'd like to make a suggestion that you get that committee going.
Okay.
Under other?
Yes.
As I mentioned, last year, I asked the board to consider taking the position on natural gas pipeline. And we talked about hiring a consultant. We put on the next agenda to discuss hiring an energy consultant on all, work with all the programs and all the different energies. We put that on next month's agenda to discuss. Get a worded opinion on the whole subject. So we just jump on it.
We'll be there. Anything else, Fran?
Go ahead, well, Leon was first.
Okay, Leon, sorry.
We put in a new website at SVSU. And it would be nice at this meeting to have someone go through that whole thing out here so that the public can see how it operates and connects with all the other schools. I mean, in the district. And I did notice that.
On the website.
Right, it should be, and in the old one, we had a connection to the CDC, and I couldn't find it today, but it says something in here in the middle, but the connection by clicking on something, and then it took you there. So it would be nice that we have that presentation started out here for the school so that the parents can all see that there's a website out here, and there's things that are for them, the portal, and we probably do that already for them, but to use the TV as a media method to relate that information can't hurt for somebody to go through all of that.
Okay, so you want someone from the tech department to come and get
Well,
that
I
site
don't-
up and then show how to navigate within the site?
That's up to,
No, I think that's a good idea.
I know it, but it's up to the superintendent. I wouldn't say who, he might want to do it, or he might have somebody else to do it. I just think this is a good idea that we use all of the tools that we have in terms of the social media to let people know what we're doing and how we're doing it and what's available to them. And here's an opportunity of a change we just brought into play that would be a very good source
Yeah.
to do.
I do hear a lot of parents complain that they didn't think it was user-friendly before, so if it's improved, it'd be nice to see.
Yeah.
Fran?
Okay, talking about the energy and electric and all this stuff, wouldn't it behoove us to have Jim Marsden look into all that stuff? I mean, he has plenty of connections, whether it be propane or electricity, or he's done these programs before, so just a suggestion to have him do that, if he wants to look at all sorts of energy or something.
Yeah, because they did up here, if I remember correctly, they did check for wind and stuff.
Yep.
Again, it wasn't
Yeah.
enough. Stuff
He
like
probably
that.
has a lot of information, and I'm sure he would, if this board wants to do it, I mean, that he would look into that for us as far as,
We're not at the board, look at it.
yeah.
Anything, anything.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes?
I just wanted to invite the board on September 8th, time to be announced for 4:30. our Division Street property on Monday past licensure. And we're gonna be up and operating, and we'd love to have you stop by and see the facility. We've been talking about it for quite a long time, and it'd be nice if you wanted to stop by and see it in action, and it's looking great. 233 Division.
Is there a barbecue?
There is gonna be food.
Really?
There will be food.
All right.
And you will be getting an invitation.
Thank you. Okay, any others? Seeing none, we have a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Personnel.
I have a question. You may have to reconvene to take a vote, so.
But it's more than the administrative contract, so.
It's three other items, there's two other items for a total of three. One is a litigation and request for an extension of benefits, which we'll have to discuss in executive session. That's what you want to do.
Okay, administrative contracts, litigation, and request for extension of benefits. All in favor of going executive session?
Aye.
Unanimous, thank you.
Let's see, I think-